What is up, guys? Teddy Cornwall here. Welcome to the Underdog Talk, the world's most underrated podcast on earth. And you know we got to go back to the roots of bodybuilding, and we got the big man himself. They call him Big Steve. The man himself, Steve Weinberger. How are you doing today, sir? And an honor and privilege to have you on the podcast.
It's an honor to be here. I'm doing great. Very happy to be here.
And we're almost a week past the Prague Pro, and obviously you were there. You were the head judge. I mean, what was the Prague Pro like? What was that excitement that was at that event?
It was honestly, I've been doing that show for about 12 years, and this was the best one ever, honestly. It was an absolute awesome show. The promoter, Peter, does a great job. He's got a great crew. Adam, the other Peter, they really love it, and they really support it, and they really nurture it, and they took it and they really grew it into something big.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, what a show. Now, you've been in kind of your career span is decades in bodybuilding. What kind of inspired you to dedicate your life to the sport of bodybuilding, and why bodybuilding, Steve?
When I was a little kid, I just loved muscles. I had that plastic weight set, the sand plastic weight set. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just doing shoulder presses and curls and overhead extensions. Just training, I was like probably about 14.
Wow.
And I really got into it when I was 16.
And then how has your vision for bodybuilding kind of evolved over the years?
My vision?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You mean like how I've grown in bodybuilding?
Yeah, or how you've seen bodybuilding in terms of.
I mean, I've seen it in its heyday, as they call it. The 80s and the 90s. I've seen it in the 70s. I was a teenager back then. I've seen it change dramatically with all these new divisions, which opened it up for so many people. Jim Mannion, now with his grandson Tyler Mannion, they did a great job of putting in all these divisions, to letting all these other competitors in with divisions they could be competitive in. Where back then it was just bodybuilding, then it was just women's bodybuilding and bodybuilding, then it was fitness, then we added all these other divisions, and now there's a division from everyone, from bikini to wellness to women's physique to women's bodybuilding to figure. It's amazing. The men's classes, we have the 212, we have the physique, we have the classic physique, we have the open. So if you don't want to have big muscles and look like a Ronnie Coleman, you could look like a Chris Bumstead, and if not, you could look like a great just physique guy. Like, there's so many of them. It's open to everybody, honestly.
And you talk about all those classes, and we had Derek Lunsford on a while ago, and he talks about how there's only one standout, and that is for open bodybuilding.
Well, that's the ultimate class, honestly. That is the ultimate class, yes.
So that you do believe that is still the prize and joy of bodybuilding?
That is bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is the open class, yes, in my opinion, yes.
Now, what do you think some of the biggest challenges facing, modern bodybuilding is in terms of kind of getting that spotlight? Obviously, we see the Olympia 60th anniversary. We see the publicity. What would it still?
That was awesome. That 60th anniversary was an awesome show. I was very happy and proud to be a part of it. Jake Wood and Dan did a great job, and Angelica, they really stepped it up. I mean, it was something special.
And then,
did you see the opening? Did you watch that opening with Bruce Buffer?
I did, yeah.
That might have been the best opening ever for a bodybuilding show. Blew my mind. When he came out, I didn't know. They didn't tell me about that. That blew my mind.
Yeah, and Dan Solomon, a good friend of the show, is just putting.
Oh, it was great. It was absolutely awesome.
And now, obviously, talking about that Olympia, such a close three between Derek, Samson, and Hadi. What pushed Samson over to be the new Mr. Olympia?
Tough show to judge. Martin looked really good too.
Yep.
Martin was pushing also. I think it was really Samson's overall shape. That's what it was, really, just his shape. He was bigger. He had good proportions. He just excellent symmetry. Not to say that Hadi and Derek doesn't have extra special symmetry, but it just was it was special what Samson came with that day.
And do you see someone like Samson being a multiple Mr. Olympia? I mean, is this a physique that can carry over?
You know, if Derek puts it back together again, he beat him before. I'm sure he could beat him again. You know, if Hadi couldn't come in like he came in at night and a couple of pounds heavier, I think he can give him all he could handle. You know, and who knows if Martin's going to, you know, also put more size on and get in better condition. And honestly, the biggest threat in that whole lineup is Andrew Jack. If he puts together, he can put a beating on everybody.
We've had all those gentlemen on the podcast, and I've been saying Martin is the dark horse, and he's no longer that dark horse, obviously.
No.
Just beating Sebum. What was the judging of Sebum versus Martin like in a historic battle?
Well, we've never had an Olympia physique guy go into the open, and honestly, it took a lot of nerve for Sebum to do that, and I respect that. And you know, he looked great. He looked amazing. He had symmetry to die for. I mean, if you ask me who I want to look like when I was born, I'd say I want to look like that guy. I want to be like Sebum. That to me is the way to look. But honestly, he just didn't have enough mass to beat Martin. Martin, you know, it's bodybuilding. It's not classic physique. You know, Chris was in great condition with great shape, and he did put on more muscle, but not enough to beat Martin.
And how difficult was it to judge that one with kind of all eyes on this event?
Honestly, the harder the judging, the more fun it is for me. I love it. Give me hard classes to judge and give me close shows to judge, and I thrive on it. I love it. I enjoyed it very much.
And obviously, you are the best judge in the game. What has been one of your most challenging decisions? Obviously, we had George Farrell on the podcast. He talks about that Kai Green, Phil Heath battle, that
was a tough one. Honestly, he's right. That was a very, very, very. That could have went either way in plain English. Honestly, I believe that if Kai Green would have stuck it out, he would have had a couple of sandals, maybe 2 or 3. But he just got so aggravated after that. It took the heart out of him, honestly. He lost his heart. It's sad because he could have had a few sandals, honestly.
Yeah, truly one of the best as well. And obviously you're speaking about one of the best in Phil.
I know him since he's a teenager. He's from my area. He's from New York. You know, he was a teenager that would do the teenage shows, the local NPC shows, and I wouldn't believe him. I'd say that's fake ID because he looked like a man. He was always amazing, even as a kid.
And talk about an underdog. I mean, the things Kai has been gone through and came
his whole life. Yeah, he's the ultimate underdog, honestly. I just wish he would have stuck it out a couple of more years. I really do.
How has the judging criteria kind of shifted over the years, and where do you think it's heading in the future? Or is there even
I don't think it's changed at all, and I don't think it's shifting. I mean, it is what it is, you know? Shape, size, and condition. It's never changed.
So, all right. So there's not necessarily one physique you're looking for. It's the best overall then.
It's the best size, shape, and condition. Right.
No.
Absolutely. If Chris would have had a little more size, he would have won in Prague, you know? More back, more arms, more chest. That's what he needed, honestly. Don't get me wrong. Beautiful physique, 6-time champion. I mean, he is the ultimate. I mean, crowd favorite like I've never seen in my life. When he walked on stage in Prague, it was a combination of Elvis Presley and Michael Jackson combined. The crowd went ballistic, nuts. I never heard anything like that from any other bodybuilder, and I've been around 42 years.
In your 42 years, do you think he is one of the biggest things for the sport, if not?
I do, 100%, 100%. I think his names go up there with Arnold and Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman and Dorian Yates. He's up there with the very best, the elite. Yeah. You know, even Sergio Oliva, if you want to get into all the old timers too, his name will go down in history, I believe.
Also adding Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman, obviously some other legends in the sport into that.
I did say that. Yes.
You did?
Yes. Yeah.
So focused on
not paying attention. Are you sure you're paying attention to me, man?
I am. I was just so focused on.
I said it. I don't know, man. I said it.
Well, I will say we're going to add Derek.
You rerun that tape. You see, I said that.
All right, you said that. We're going to add Derek Lunsford to that conversation. And I know that's a bold take, but I do believe he's got what it takes and to be a multiple time. And Sampson as well. Now, in your 42 years, you've really seen it all. Do you see the sport of bodybuilding going in the right direction?
I mean, it's getting bigger all the time. The Olympia this year was huge.
Mm-hmm.
The Arnold Classics are always huge shows. This Prague show was a small show and is now turned into like the biggest show in Europe. It's a huge show. It's growing. You know what I mean? It's not a sport like football or baseball. It's a real niche sport. You know, it's hard for the general public to understand it, to understand the judging. It's really hard for them to think, well, why did this guy beat this guy? Unless you could sit down and really educate them. You know what I mean? There are many fans that are highly educated. Don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about the general public.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding fans, they're like judges themselves. They know what they're looking at.
Yeah. Now, obviously, social media has transformed the sport. In your opinion, has it helped or hurt the sport of bodybuilding?
Well, to tell you the honest truth, I think it made more stars, but I still like the old days better with the magazines.
Wow.
You know, because it really highlighted the best of the best. You got guys here that are on the internet that really are not that good, but yet they know how to promote themselves and make themselves stars. Where back when it was the magazines before the internet, you couldn't have done that. You couldn't, you know what I mean? There's all these, what do they call them? These influences.
Yeah.
Some of these influencers don't know what they're talking about. Some do, don't get me wrong, but some are complete morons.
Do you miss the golden era of bodybuilding, or do you?
Honestly, I miss the magazines. I miss Joe Weider and Ben Weider, but we have Jim Mannion, thank God. You know, and he's doing, you know, an amazing job, and so's Tyler. But I think I love bodybuilding just as much as I did during those days. It's different now with the internet and everything else. Like, you know, a show happens 2 minutes later, everyone knows the results or sees it as it's going on. Where back then you had to wait 3 months to find out who won the Olympia unless you called up a gym or somebody went to the show.
Huh.
Results are instant now. Everything in this world is instant, from Amazon to whatever it is. You know what I mean? That's just the world we live in today.
I'd say it's definitely helping to a point by allowing the people who do.
Oh, it opened up to more fans, especially all those divisions. Those divisions, in my opinion, made the sport huge.
And then, you know, what goes into your decision-making process when ranking athletes in such a close competitive lineup? Obviously, speaking of, we had Mike Summerfield on the podcast a few weeks ago, and that was a really close 1 and 2. What exactly goes into your decision? Is it like a game time decision? Obviously, you have, you know, prejudging all that, but is there game time decisions?
What I do is I just put them through their poses. Sometimes it's really close, and I'll put them through the mandatory a half a dozen times, and usually someone will break and someone will come out. Someone will start holding water and someone will get harder. And when it's really, really close, that's what I do.
And have you had do athletes normally kind of stay in the process, or do you often see them fold or break in that posing?
Some champions get better, and you know, I mean, some champions do break, but the elite come out.
Who has been?
That's where you pick the winner.
And who has been some of those elite competitors you've seen just come out? Obviously, we talked about Phil Heath, obviously Mr. Saturday Night. Who are some other ones that just kind of shone during that Saturday night posing?
Jay Cutler always came back better. See, Saturday night you know, years ago there wasn't a Friday and a Saturday, so it was just one day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you know, you have Jay Cutler, you have Ronnie Coleman, of course Phil Heath. Kai Green always got better on Saturday night. Always. Honestly, most of them get better because most of them know what they're doing. They see how they messed up, or if they messed up, and they know how to improve.
And obviously,
I can't think of a guy that didn't look good on Friday and came in Saturday looking worse.
How important is, obviously you talking about now, it is a Friday and Saturday. How important is that night of Friday night? How important is
Very
that?
important. That sets the tone. That sets the tone. I mean, you could take a lead, and sometimes it's hard to give up a lead. You know what I mean? Friday night is very important. So Saturday night, for that matter, too, if it's really close.
Has there ever been a time where, for a big show like the Open, Friday night who's going to win the Open?
Honestly, unless they're miles ahead, and it's usually not like that, you know going into the night show who the favorite is, and you don't know if these guys are going to fall apart or get better, because you could be miles ahead on Friday and blow it on Saturday, over carb or not eat enough, flatten out. I mean, so you can't pick on Friday who's going to win that show, because the bodies change constantly, hourly. The bodies change. It's impossible. A guy could destroy it on Friday and blow it on Saturday.
And that's where it comes down to coaching. And speaking of coaching, obviously the one and only Hani Rambo is no longer going to be coaching professionals. Is he still going to be coaching Derek or Hadi? Do you know?
I honestly, I don't know, but he's honestly arguably the best.
Yeah, you would put him as the
You
GOAT.
could argue it. I mean, there are great coaches out there, and he is for sure, if not the best, one of the best.
And obviously, besides coaching, you're obviously the Bev Francis Powerhouse Gym man behind the scenes. What was the vision like when creating a gym, and what was the process of creating a gym like?
Well, back in the 80s, there weren't a lot of gyms, to tell you the truth. It's not like it is now, where there's a gym on every corner, like a Starbucks. I mean, we just, we wanted to open a gym. We just decided, that we're going to open a gym, and, just God willing, it's going to succeed. We had no idea it was going to 38 years later still be, successful and happy in it. I mean, I love this business. I love coming to the gym. I love my job. I love going to the shows. I'm blessed, and I have to once again give props to Jim Mannion, because he gave me the opportunity to run these shows and to be the chairman and to really judge and to really succeed in this business.
And what does that mean to you to be the head judge and be the main guy?
Oh, I'm very proud of it. I love it. Very, very proud of it.
Everyone hears gentleman quarter turn and Big Steve.
Yes.
And that's you. That's insane.
I mean, yes, I love it.
And obviously, Bev Francis is the mecca. And what makes it such a special place for athletes, and how does it foster that greatness, especially for?
Well, just so you know, I never gave it that name. That name was given to us by Rob, who used to work for MD, Robbie. He gave us that name. He called it the East Coast Mecca. I would never, you know what I'm saying, label myself like saying I'm the greatest. That name was given to us, and of course we ran with it. And the number one bodybuilding gym that we were called was Flex Magazine at the time, when it was in business. So it wasn't I that put those things together. It was named by other people. And I think the reason why it was because we love equipment. There could be machines in here that are good, but if I see a machine that's better, I'll either replace that machine or put the machine that I think is better side by side with it. So some people like this machine. Some people, we have equipment for everybody. I love equipment. I buy equipment all the time, and when equipment gets beat down, depending on the type, if it's a classic, I'll fix it. You know what I mean? I'll rebuild it, and like we have plenty of Nautilus in here. We have plenty of old Flex, plenty of old Icarian, along with Panada, along with NewTek, along with the new companies. It's not just old pieces, and it's not just new pieces. It's a combination of everything.
Truly, and we'll say it, the mecca. And I guess I shouldn't call myself the most underrated podcast. I guess that's not a good look. But what's one kind of story or moment that stands out as part of your gym's legacy, that defining moment?
I probably when they named us the East Coast Mecca and the best bodybuilding gym in the world, actually, or in the USA, excuse me, in the USA, not the world. I take that back. that's like when it was like, wow, yeah, we did it. You know, we put together an excellent gym.
Yeah. And what do you hope visitors of the gym take away from their experience, whether they're elite competitors or just regular fitness influences or
They have
influencers?
a great workout, great atmosphere. When you walk in the gym, people always say, "I'm here to work." I feel like I'm here to work. It's not a health club. It's not a spa. You come here to work. This is a gym. And we have people, besides bodybuilders, we have old women, old men that train alongside the bodybuilders. Everyone gets along. It's really a good selection of people. Besides world class athletes, we have regular people that just stay in shape, that are just really into their fitness.
I never got to ask you, what is your favorite bodybuilding moment of all time, if you even have one, Steve? I know
A
there's all
favorite what? I'm sorry.
favorite bodybuilding moment. I mean, whether that be Phil Heath's final win, was there a moment to you where it's just monumental?
I can tell you my most disappointing moment
Yeah.
when Bev lost the Olympia by 1 point in 1991. That was my most disappointing moment. My favorite moment would have to be in '84 in New York City, seeing Sergio Oliva compete and having little Sergio, who was not, just born, in his hands on stage. That was amazing. Lou Ferrigno was backstage watching. It was just that was my I think my favorite moment, honestly. Not that I ever thought about it, but now that I did, I'd say that is it.
Oh, it's a special moment. And what is one piece of advice you constantly see yourself giving to these up and coming pros or even current pros?
As far as what? As far as promotion, as far as training, as far as competition.
As far as being the best bodybuilder in the world, as far as getting to the Mr. Olympia.
Just, I mean, it's consistency,
Mhm.
consistency, and consistency. You have to be consistent with your diet, your training, and your lifestyle. Your lifestyle has to. It can't just be a 5 day a week lifestyle, and then on the weekends you're a party animal. It's a whole lifestyle. I mean, you have to change your life. You have to want it more than anything to be the best of the best. I'm not saying you can't be great training 5 days a week and being a party animal on the weekends, but you're not going to be Mr. Olympia, in my opinion.
Yeah. And if you could change one thing about bodybuilding currently, what would that be?
I'm happy with it. I'm very pleased. I think, like I said, the Manion's doing a great job. I think bodybuilding is really great. I mean, you got Arnold doing his thing and all these other promoters doing their things. We have some really good promoters. I mean, what Jake did with the Olympia is awesome, and Dan. I mean, and Angelica. I don't want to miss anybody out. I mean, I think everybody's on their A game right now. I really do, and it's hats off to Jim Manion who put everybody on this planet or on this road. I shouldn't say planet, on this road to success.
Now, what do you want your legacy to be within the sport of bodybuilding? If you ever thought about that?
I just want to be known as a fair, honest man that gave everybody what they deserved, whether it was first place or last place. And that was it. I just want to be known as a guy that did his job the best it possibly could be done.
And now, final question: if you could give one kind of message to the next generation of bodybuilders, what would that be?
I'd have to say, make sure you have. This. I know you read all of these books. They say no B plan, no B plan. You need a B plan. Because not everybody is Mr. Olympia, but a lot of people could make a great living from this sport by being a national champion, by being a top 10 champion, even just by being a good local bodybuilder. You could be a personal trainer. There's so many other avenues. You could be a promoter to make money and make a living in this sport. I mean, look at this pro tan. Who would think you'd make a living tanning people? Who would think years ago? Who would you think would make a great living training people? I mean, there's so many. What about making bikinis? Women that make bikinis and they make suits for guys. It's just the jewelry that the women wear. There are so many other avenues that you can make a living in this sport without being Mr. Olympia, but by training and being the best you can to build your name up, to build your business up.
And then I have to add one staple question. What has your underdog moment been in, whether that be bodybuilding or life in general, Steve?
Opening this gym, I didn't know if it was going to make it. I mean, we had no money. We opened this gym on a home equity loan, and that was 38 years ago. And honestly, I couldn't be happier with the gym. I couldn't be prouder of the gym. The gym, I'm telling you, I love it. I'm going to die in this chair. I'm never going to retire. I'm never going to retire. This is my life. I love it.
You've given all to it. Now, Steve, before we go, the floor is yours. Where can we kind of find all the gym's social media? Is it on Instagram?
The gym's social media is either my name or Bev's Gym. The website is bevfrancis.com. The gym is Bev Francis Powerhouse Gym in Syosset, New York. You could just Google Bev Francis Powerhouse. It'll come up. And we're open from 4 a.m. to midnight on weekdays and weekends from 6 to 9. And if I'm not traveling to a show, I'm here.
And you guys do day passes?
We do day passes. You could join for the month, 3 months, 6 months, or a year.
First 3 people to get a membership, send us a DM. We'll get you something special out to you as well. I mean, one and only Big Steve. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Until next time, guys, Underdog out.